Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Glory be to Jesus Christ.
Glory forever.
Happy Father's Day. Today, the second Sunday after Pentecost, we celebrate the memory of the saints of our local church, the American church. It's a pattern that's set up. Okay? There's Pentecost, first Sunday after Pentecost is all saints, and the second Sunday after Pentecost are local saints. Now, at the Romanian church, they're talking about Romanian saints, but they're in New York. In the Greek churches, they're talking about Greek saints, but they're in New York. At the Serbian church, they're talking about Serbian saints, but they're in New York. And we have saints right here in North America who labor tirelessly. Not just the ones you see on the icon. Most notably, St. Herman of Alaska. He was the Mary, the contemplative one. Everybody knew where to find him, and they came to him for prayer and worship. Then there's St. Innocent, the Martha, the worker, going everywhere. So much so, it was detrimental to his health in the long run, in his older years. Many great saints have shown forth in America, both in Alaska and in North America. There are some that served in America and then went back. There's a Hieromartyr Basil, was a Polish priest, Russian Orthodox, served in Alaska for about 20 years. Went back to Europe, was a chaplain in the Polish army in the Second World War, and actually met his end not at the hands of Germans, not at the hands of Soviets, but at the hands of a bunch of hooligans, Polish hooligans. His own people beat him up to death, thinking, here's a priest, he must be sitting on a lot of money. But he wasn't. Okay? There's the holy martyr of Santa Cruz, Father George, who was murdered by Satanists, a Greek Orthodox priest, about 30 years ago, in his own sanctuary. There are saints among us everywhere. Sainthood is not something that is remote and far away and unattainable. We venerate and hold the memory of local saints to show each other and ourselves that yes, sanctity is a possibility. Sanctity, yes, even here in America, is a possibility. But what strikes me the most are the words of one of our saints who labored not only here in America, but in Russia, in Yugoslavia, in the Philippines, in Australia, St. John Maximovich, the wonder worker. His relics now rest in a cathedral in San Francisco. And his words were, and they've always stayed with me, and he made this statement back in the early 1960s. If you can recall the climate of what the world was like in the early 1960s. But he said, what has begun in Soviet Russia, and he was talking about the persecution of the church and everything that was terrible about what has begun in Soviet Russia will someday conclude here in America. And we're seeing it happen. Where we have not only just disregard for the church. Well, if you can't come to church, you won't come to church. I can't make you come to church. But disregard, outright, blatant disrespect and blasphemy against the church. For example, what happened at the Dodgers game a couple weeks ago. Blasphemy. That's not a lifestyle choice. That's blasphemy. Okay? That's all there is to it. So we're in a time where we may not get thrown in the gulag, but we'll get pressured through the media, through society, everything else. We'll get pressured to forsake Christ. They already tried it once and it worked. Remember 2 years ago when they told our bishops to close the churches because of COVID? And what did it do? It decimated our parishes. It worked. And our bishops listened. And we had to obey. So what's happening, folks? Be on your toes, Christians. Be on your toes. Because things are getting wild around here. And I keep saying to myself, when is God going to finally say, enough's enough. time to call quits. Who knows? Who knows? In the meantime, we're supposed to and expected to go on as good Christians, as God taught us. Not to deviate from his teachings, not to forsake, not to put on a show of Christianity, but live a different way. No, no. We're called to live according to what God has taught us. And that's a tall enough order in itself. Here in America, that's a real tall order in itself. But dear brothers and sisters, do not give up, do not despair. Hang in there. Fight for your Christianity. First inside, in how you live, and then everything around you. Amen. Glory be to Jesus Christ.
Amen.